It is time to declassify the intelligence that Trump used or made up to justify killing the second or third level person in a foreign sovereign government, obviously Soleimani in Iran. We need to know what was the rationale that went into this. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. First of all, if you go back to the invasion of Iraq, both invasions of Iraq, in fact, we invaded Iraq back in I think it was 91 when George Herbert Walker Bush was president, and that was going to get him reelected in 92. It didn't work out that well. As his son pointed out, his war only lasted 100 hours. He should have been at war all the way up to election day if he wanted to get himself reelected. This is what George W. Bush said. In fact, Cindy Sheehan laid this out, and I think fairly brilliantly. And this is on the 360, Sean. Just as a reminder.
As a matter of fact, in interviews in 1999 with respected journalists and longtime Bush family friend Mickey Herskowitz, then Governor George Bush stated, "One of the keys to being seen as a great leader is to be seen as commander-in-chief. My father had all this political capital built up when he drove the Iraqis out of Kuwait, and he wasted it. If I have a chance to invade, if I had that much capital, I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to get everything passed that I want to get passed, and I'm going to have a successful presidency," end quote.
So that was George W. Bush pointing out that there's a strategy here. Republicans have been doing this since Reagan and Grenada. Have a little war, and, you get reelected. And so, we have to remember that this is the starting point for this. So then, but back to the first and second invasions of Iraq in 91 and in 2003. In both cases, Saddam Hussein was throwing Scud missiles at us. Remember that? We were watching Scud missiles on CNN. Oh, look there goes another one. And one of the things that we were watching was our surface-to-air anti-missile missiles taking them out of the sky. We've got, there's, the Israeli Iron Dome is the most famous one, but there's all these anti-missile technologies. We've sold some to Ukraine. We sell them all over the world. So why did we let 16 or 12 or whatever it was? We still don't have final numbers yet. Why did we let a dozen or so missiles fired from inside Iran, where we knew they were coming? Right, we knew broadly something was going to happen, and I guarantee you, the instant those things left the launch pad in Iran, and it was at least a minute or two to get to wherever they got to. As soon as they were launched, our satellites and our high altitude drone surveillance equipment, whether it's the modern version of U-2s or what, it's AWACS planes. We could see the heat signature. We could immediately calculate the trajectory. We knew where these missiles were going. We knew how long it was going to take to get there. On top of that, well, let me just pause that right there. So why didn't we shoot them out of the sky? What we saw last night was very well choreographed, very elegant kabuki theater. Right, this was a dance that was done between Iran, Iraq, and the United States. Trump kills Soleimani. The entire world just backs away. He was half expecting, I believe he was expecting that the allies would come in and say, oh yeah, just like with George Bush, we'll fight against the Iranians with you. And no, the rest of the world, even Boris Johnson is, after his initial statement, Israel stands with the United States. Immediately, we were hearing out of the Prime Minister's office and Netanyahu's office that this is Trump's attack. This is not Israel's attack. This is Trump's attack. So why didn't we shoot down those missiles? Because at that point, the U.S. military. Now I don't know if Trump figured this out, but certainly the Pentagon had, and maybe Pompeo had, that we've got no allies anymore. Trump has just pissed away our allies. He's destroyed our alliances. and this go it alone. Nobody was willing to sign up for World War III. So what got said to Trump was, in my opinion, probably by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, maybe by that Marine Corps general who wrote the letter to Iraq saying, okay, we'll pull out. I believe it was General Milley, as I recall. Basically, somebody said to Trump, okay, here's the deal. You blew it when you assassinated Soleimani. That was stupid. You're going to have to pay a price for that. We're going to make it look like, we're going to make it happen in a way that you can save face. Iran is going to fire some missiles, and they're not going to hit anything. They're not going to hurt anybody. We're going to have plenty of advance notice. And Iran is going to fire these missiles, and we're going to put all of our soldiers in safe places so that, nothing happens. We're going to hold our breath, and and this is going to let the Ayatollah and President Rouhani, Ayatollah Khamenei, it's going to allow them to say to the Iranian people, see, we fought back. And in fact, they're claiming that they killed 30 or 40 U.S. civilians or U.S. soldiers rather, and wounded another 70 or 80. The Iranian press has made various claims, but they're all kind of in that neighborhood. So, which would be like a proportionate response, because when Trump killed Soleimani, he didn't just kill him. He also killed the head of the Shiite paramilitary forces in Iraq that are sanctioned by the government of Iraq. In other words, that are the government of Iraq is okay with. And he killed, half a dozen other people who were traveling with them in their convoys. So this was designed to let the leadership of Iran save face and to let Donald Trump save face and to de-escalate it. And I can virtually guarantee you that did not come from Mike Pence, Mike Pompeo, or Donald Trump. In all probability, that came from Mr. Esper, our Secretary of Defense, or from the Joint Chiefs, or from the President of Iraq, or, it wouldn't surprise me at all, from President Rouhani of Iran, who's actually a fairly moderate guy for the region. So that's kind of yeah, all right. So now I understand why, there were no missiles shooting missiles out of the air, because, if they shot a bunch of missiles at us and we blew up their missiles before they hit the ground, then the Iranian people would be saying, whoa, wait a minute, we want to strike somebody. And they'd have to do it all over again. So we let it happen. Now that all sounds like really great news, right? Smart people got together and figured out a way to fix Trump's screw up. But there's still a few loose ends. And these are really important loose ends. The first is Donald Trump assassinated Soleimani illegally. The War Powers Act and even the authorization to use military force, the AUMF after 9/11, specify that if the President of the United States is going to engage in military action against a representative or member of a foreign government, they first have to obtain the approval of Congress or at least notify Congress. First, Trump did not do that. And secondly, if they do it without notifying Congress, the one loophole in both of those laws that allows the president to just pull the trigger is if there's imminence. In other words, it's going to happen at any minute. There's going to be major destruction to U.S. facilities or U.S. persons, and so the president has to act to protect U.S. interests. Doesn't have time to talk to Congress. And that was the original claim that Mike Pompeo made. And he obviously lied because he walked it back. So now it's like, from the American point of view, I want to know what the damn intelligence was. Congressman Pocan this morning said he went into the SCIF, the secure area, and he read the 2-page report that the Trump administration provided to Congress saying, here's why we had to strike, when we had to strike. And he suggested, I don't want to quote him, I don't have his exact words in front of me, and I don't want to get him in trouble, because he you can't reveal classified information. But what he did say was that he saw nothing in that report that suggested that there was an imminent attack coming, which means that Trump broke the law. And we've seen other members of Congress who went into the skiff and read this who are now openly calling for that to be declassified. And so that the American people we can all see that what Trump did was illegal, in addition to stupid. Number one. That's loose thread number one. And I could see that even turning into an article of impeachment. And loose thread number two is that Soleimani, he was a brilliant tactician. What this guy did over the course of 20 years is, Iran, big country, 8th largest military in the world, but one of the most effective ways to build, to have military power in a region like the Middle East, instead of having all kinds of weapons and armies, is you have proxies. They funded Hezbollah in Lebanon, fragments of it in Israel. They've got, their people in Yemen. They've got their people in Syria. They've got their people in Iraq. And Soleimani was controlling all these groups. And he could turn them into he could weaponize them. Well, the question now is, without him there, he had the power to release them, to unleash them. He also had the power to constrain them. Without him there any longer, does his number two have the kind of personal, moral, political, knows where the bodies are buried, whatever it takes, authority to prevent the groups that Soleimani put together all across the Middle East from, over the course of the next few days or weeks or months or even year, initiating all kinds of asymmetrical, non-normal attacks against American interests? And I guess the third question would be, was the threat against Trump's property something that caused him to change?